Alright, here is the iPhone 6, and my dad was nice enough to smash this for me just for the purpose of this video. So I've got a piece of box tape covering this part. I'm hoping I can still use the suction cup to get the screen off, which is one of the tools they give you when you get one of these little kits. So here's the replacement screen I got for it, and it has the home button built into it and the camera and all that stuff and all the wire, like the cable connectors and everything. So I don't need to take this plate off, the earpiece, there's a light sensor under there and camera and all that stuff, this whole harness here that I don't need to fiddle with. I can just leave it be. And this is the home button down here, which also plugs in because it has the thumbprint sensor built into it. So all we're going to do is take this screen off as all one big piece, just like that, undo a connector that's holding these plugs down. Sorry, it's a connector plate, holds these connectors down, and then lift off the old screen, plop on the new one, and we're done. So start with the pentalobe. Oh, that's this one. It's a 5-point star basically, and it's the same one they use in all Apple products. Keep your screws separate so you don't mix them up. Once I have that off, this is the moment of truth of whether I'm going to be able to get the screen off easily. Oh, seems to be. Alright, so as soon as I can pull it up, just have to get it up a tiny bit, and I can get underneath the screen with one of these pry tools. And once I'm in here, I can just slide something around the edges and pry the old screen away from the chassis. There it goes. Now this screen's a bit flexible because it's so smashed up. Shouldn't be quite this much work to try and get it to pop off. But once I'm in here, should just be able to glide all the way down. There we go. So once you've got the screen up, real gentle like, lift it up, and the next step is this plate here. There's 5 screws on it we got to take off, and these are just Phillips. So again, get one of these kits and it comes with all the screwdrivers that you're going to need. So these two are really short. This one's the longest. This one is sort of a middle, like medium between those two. And this feels like a really short one as well. So is that off yet? Get it to let go. Oh, there we go. And that is the same as the first two. So I got 3 super short ones, which are the down near the bottom of the phone. This is the bottom where the charging port is. Longest one is over here by the power button, and the medium one is towards the camera. Now take that plate off, and one at a time pop up these connectors, and you can obviously see this, the order that they're in because of the way they're stacked coming off the phone. So one at a time, get underneath them and just pop them up, and each one of them sort of guides onto this sort of square plug brackety thing. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I should just be able to put the new screen back in place exactly the same way. Make sure this is a little tab that comes on the screen protector, so I got to make sure that doesn't get somehow caught in the chassis. And then one at a time, starting with this first ribbon. This is where I need 3 hands. Slide it around until it seats neatly on its little home there. Nope. There it is. Snap. Next one goes right above it. The next one is, I think, the home button. Let's get that to find its little connector home. There we go. Last one. And that's it. Now we got to put our plate back on. Before we do, let's just turn this thing on. Make sure that it works. Before I start making permanent connections, I want to test all of its functions, make sure the camera works, because that's one of the things I plugged in. The screen obviously works, we can see that. I'm going to have to go through the full setup to test the camera, so I'm going to err on the side of optimism, let's say, and presume that this thing is fine. Oh, and I want this off. While I'm fiddling around here. There we go. Now, get the top of the screen to sort of lever into the chassis. There's little tabs there. And once they're in, we just want the rest of it to snap down. So work from top down, gentle pressure on the edges, snap, and then just make sure it's nice and flush all the way around. Fits in nicely. And again, erring on the side of optimism, I'm going to go ahead and put these pentalobe screws in, and then we can test the camera and the thumbprint sensor, which I've got a few setup steps ahead of me before I can actually test that. Get the screen cover off, which will probably aid the thumbprint sensor. Now actually what I'm seeing here is the Touch ID feature doesn't work with an aftermarket screen. So I'm going to have to rescue the home button off of this phone, or off of this screen, to get that feature working on this one. Now to rescue the home button so we can use the touch print security feature, underneath this plate. So we've got two more of these Phillips head screws to pull off. Oh, it's on the screwdriver. There we go. And then the ribbon connector is popped on right there. Now there's a little adhesive under this connection that I'm going to have to get off. Plus the button itself is held in with just a little ring of adhesive, which should stay on the button. There we go. And that should work again when I go to stick the new one on. Just making sure there's no adhesive there. So here's the home button with the ID print built into it. Let's get this out of the way. I'm going to crack this thing open again. So I've already taken the screws out. I just need to get in here and pry the screen off. Same routine as before. I like to just slide the pry tool along the side here. Plastic ones are good because they're not going to scratch, but they do wear out. So they have a limited shelf life. So now I'm going to hold this up. Make sure that I don't damage these ribbons here. I don't want to go to all the work of taking the screen completely off. And then let's get this little connector up. That came up nice and easy. Get the little rubber ring to let go. There. Okay, so that's the dummy. Okay, with the home buttons in place, there's the little spot where the wire connector sticks down, and then I just have to snap that connector in place. There we go. Now those look the same. Yeah, they do. There's a little guide peg to make sure that you get this on straight. Now for the screws. There. Now let's test that thumbprint feature. And there we go.